Hear what Mary and Joseph were going through. We're in Luke 2. We're starting in verse 1. In those days, a decree went out from Caesar Augustus that all the world should be registered. This was the first registration when Quirinius was governor of Syria, and all went to be registered, each to his own town. And Joseph also went up from Galilee, from the town of Nazareth to Judea, to the city of David, which is called Bethlehem, because he was of the house and lineage of David, to be registered with Mary, his betrothed, who was with child. And while they were there, the time came for her to give birth. And she gave birth to her firstborn son, and wrapped him in swaddling cloths, and laid him in a manger, because there was no place for them in the inn. Now, we have read that story probably hundreds of times. I think it's lost some of its shock, some of its poignancy, and a whole lot of its stress. Do we have any mid-April babies in here? Anyone born in mid-April? We got one or two. Awesome. You see, here's what it's like. The government, our favorite people, always know what's best for us, has decided that we are going to register and tax our population. Yay. Okay, but now, here's the great thing about ancient civilizations. They did not have TurboTax. There were not accountants on hand to take care of your problems individually over the course of weeks or months. Everybody got to show up at the same place at the same time with everyone else to handle the situation. And we thought lines at Kohl and Walmart's were bad. Mind you, you also have to have all that cash on your person to be able to pay, because MasterCard and Visa has not been created. Oh yeah, by the way, you can't do that from home. You have to take a journey. Now let's make it fun. Let's make it something comparable. Because Mary and Joseph would be walking, and it wouldn't be all that far. You know, in reality, it would only be like from here to Petersburg. Not that big of a deal. We'd all just scoff at that. What's getting to Petersburg? Half hour? If you obey limits. Let's make it fun. Let's make it more entertaining. Let's make it real. We all have to go to Atlanta to pay our taxes. Everyone going to Atlanta. The highways are packed. The byways are packed. Can you imagine the conversation going down? You sure you brought enough money to pay all our taxes? Do you think they'll take it all this year? Do you think maybe we can get a break since taxes? Traveling hours to be able to give your money away. Slightly stressful. Oh, let's add the fun to it. Your spouse is 9 months pregnant. Every guy's face lit up because that is like the most simple, easy thing to handle, right? Bumper to bumper on the highways, just for, 10 hours. 9 months pregnant, about to lose a whole lot of money to the government. Can you see your stress level rising? Just a little bit. Oh, yes, and then, you know what? You didn't make reservations. So you pull into Atlanta after, well, it should be 10 hours, so it's taken us now 14 because of traffic, because of the stops. You pull in and you're tired and you're sweaty and you just want to relax. And that's when you think, I didn't book a room. So you get the added joy of going around and stopping in each hotel. Do you have a vacancy? And they look at you and they laugh. Why? Because everyone in the known eastern part of the United States is in Atlanta. No, we don't have a room. I saw a meme this past week on Instagram that said, that's really how Silent Night began. Mary asked where they were staying, and Joseph said, I didn't make reservations. The stress level would mount and mount and mount. They were fortunate enough, they found someone who would let them stay in their stable. So Mary and Joseph at least have some shelter out from the wind and the cold and whatever the elements might bring. Guys, can you imagine telling your spouse, your girlfriend, your significant other, honey, we have traveled 12 hours and now we get to stay in a barn with the animals? Ladies, how many of your hearts just started to flutter? Stress was rising. It was a difficult day. Oh, did I fail to mention? Bethlehem's the one fertile area in all of what the Romans call Palestine. So if you're going to get something to eat, everyone's going to Bethlehem. Bethlehem's not a huge city. It's actually a small town. Can you imagine, now for a minute, instead of Atlanta with all of their infrastructure, can you imagine if the entire eastern seaboard flooded into Midlothian? And they all had to go out to eat and you were hungry? Can you imagine the waits and the lines and the stress? Do you think you might lose it at some point? Christians down here, no, I got this all under control. I just don't know. Spoken like a young man. Young men always think they have things under control. As the stress mounts, just for the fun of it, a little more is added. Can you hear Mary saying, honey, I think it's time. What? No, I understand the words, but you gotta be kidding me. It's been a long, hard day. All I want to do is sleep. A first child. That raises the anxiety and the stress. The first child, you realize you are not capable of caring for a newborn. That moment hits you. You're like, okay, now what? They're in a barn. No one was expecting them. They've handled their taxes, they've handled the trip, and all of a sudden, there's a son. In a very hostile, tired, stressed, anxious place. Jesus entered there. Again, our world was expecting nothing. I mean, that was probably the last time in history December 25th wasn't circled and starred with notes about what was going on. But all of a sudden, the scene changed. In the barrenness all around them, this one little fertile, rural community town was displaying spiritually what had gone on geographically for years. Amidst the dryness and the struggle to survive, amidst the heartache and the pain and the hurts, God had entered our world. Now, I'll give it to you. Most of the world did not realize it yet. Yeah, there was a star that shone bright. But there had been bright stars before. Maybe not that bright, but bright stars before. Angels had shown up. Now, I'll give you that's a little unusual. Not far behind the angels came shepherds. Can you imagine what they thought? All these folks flooded into the city. And then they're announced that God has been born just down the road. They leave their fields and flocks and they journey to see it. Because, I mean, let's face it, this is a once-in-a-lifetime event. They see the child and they return back in a different state of mind. They return glorifying God and praising Him. Shepherds were almost the most down-and-out people of that society. There wasn't a whole lot of praise going on with them. They were isolated, long hours, little pay, no one to talk to but the animals. And while they listen well, they're not the best at small talk. Their lives are forever changed. They're excited. Matthew records that the intellectuals and academians of the day actually set out from the Far East to journey. You see, there was just something different. In the midst of all the anxiety and stress, the poverty, something spectacular had happened. Their time wasn't much different than ours. In fact, I can assure you, if on your way home you stop for gas, there's someone going to be stressed at Wawa, Sheetz, BP, Exxon, Sunoco. I am certain that Walmart and Target and Kohl's, I don't want to leave anyone out, TJ Maxx, Burlington Coat Factory. My goodness, the malls. They are going to be packed, and I am going to go out on a limb and say they're not singing Christmas carolers, those that are there. Perhaps they're done. Perhaps the scenario is this. Folks are at home, and the whole family is coming over. And the kitchen breaker is not working. The oven will not stay on. What are we going to do? Or you still have your tree to put up and the decor to be done. The world around us is currently experiencing a lot of stress and drama. That's how I know it's time for God to show up. He enters that situation and He changes us entirely, eternally. You know, if we think about it, every day can be Christmas without the commercial aspect of it. Why? Because each and every day, someone can be introduced to Jesus for the first time. Our lives are complicated. Our lives are difficult. A poll was recently done that almost says Americans run on stress. Our society is so nervous and worried about everything else that it takes something special to grab our attention, to shake us out of our day-to-day normalness of life. And you know what's tremendously exciting? Is that God wants to do that for each person. He desires for our stress levels to drop. He desires that our problems dissipate into the past. Not by magic, not by waving a magic wand, but by giving Himself for us. That if we enter into His presence, if we come to Him as the shepherds or the wise men, humbly, searching, desiring for something better. Now, please don't hear better as a Mercedes opposed to a Honda. Don't hear better as a 5-bedroom, 3-bath compared to a 2-bedroom, 1-bath. But something better, a stability, a slice of peace. A knowledge that you are cared for. With all the lights and tinsel and all that we do to try and illuminate and beautify. Christian, what would I do without you? This time of year, you know what really makes it beautiful and special? It is the opportunity to be able to spend time with those we love. An opportunity for everything else to just be dialed back, maybe for a few hours. no demand of work. More than likely, for one day, the telemarketers will leave you alone. It's coming right before all of the knocks and say, "Hi, I'm with insert which political party you want here, and we'd really love for you to vote for us." Today and tomorrow, you will have the opportunity to spend that time with the ones you love, almost unabated and uninterrupted. The older I get, the more I appreciate it. But you know, that is what God has promised believers. Not just a day, not just a part of a day, not a weekend, but eternity. If you have placed your trust in Christ, He has promised us to live in His kingdom forever. Christmas, eternally, without the lines, the fight for that last gift, without worrying if all the food will be warm at the same time when everyone arrives. You see, the greatest gift God ever gave us was Himself. Coming in a very simple, unspectacular way so that we could relate. So He could speak into our lives telling us He cares. He loves. And His desire is to save. Church, that's what we celebrate. But as we celebrate, don't let the opportunity go to share just what He means to you. An opportunity to introduce someone to the genuine Christmas experience. Encountering God one-on-one in a quiet, simple place where He has already promised to take our anxiety, our stress, and even more important, our sin away. Merry Christmas.